So this is how to play cleric. If you click on any of your skills or group members, this video is for you. Other classes can probably benefit from this video too, so it might be worth the listen. We're going to talk about keybinds, how to use skill combos quickly, really what your role is, and some other miscellaneous nonsense. So let's start with keybinds. So clicking is slower than you think if you're a clicker. So if you're a clicker and you first move to keybinds, you're probably actually going to be slower than clicking for a while. It takes time for muscle memory to build up, but once it does, you're going to be using skills and actions exponentially faster, so it's absolutely worth the time investment. For example, if you have correct keybinds, you should be able to use a combo like Life Serum, AP Pot, Anti-Shock Scroll, and an instant cast skill in under 60 milliseconds or so. So let's get started here. The green keys here are your best binds. These are the ones that you can hit very quickly and very accurately. You should be putting both your most time-sensitive skills as well as your most used skills here. The yellow binds are still good binds, but keep in mind it's going to take you a little bit longer to use those skills, so your lower priority skills should probably go there. And I would avoid using the red binds entirely if possible. The other thing to keep in mind is hand alteration. So for example, let's take a super common combo like Bless Shield and Flash of Recovery. So not only is this super common, but we need to execute it very quickly. So ideally, you're going to be using different hands to use each skill. So for example, having Bless Shield bound to a green key that you're going to hit with your left hand, and a Flash of Recovery bound to your mouse that you're going to hit with your right hand. That way you're alternating your hands there and you can push that combo through very quickly. You need to be able to use this combo in under 75 milliseconds or so if you have it bound correctly. Just for example, I have Blessed Shield bound to E on my keyboard and Flash Shield bound to mouse 2. So we can take these combos one step further too, like selecting a group member using Bless Shield and then Flash Shield. So again, you'd be alternating hands for that entire combo. Think about other super common combos too, like selecting a group member and then dispelling, selecting a group member and using Light of Recovery, tabbing enemy and using Root, so on and so forth. Copying my keybinds isn't necessary, but just for example, I have my group members bound to R, F, Shift R, Shift F, and C. And then I have Dispel bound to mouse 1 and Flash bound to mouse 2. Honestly, just doing this alone will make you better than like 90% of clerics. Your group will notice fast dispellers right away. So I suggest firing up Excel or something like that. Prioritize all of your skills, all of your common combos, and start mapping out keybinds. Some really nice keybinds that people forget are mouse wheel tilt left and right, and your left alt key, so don't forget about those. You can also bind caps lock and other modifier keys if you use third-party software. Alright, so now I'm assuming you have great keybinds and you painfully rebuilt muscle memory for them. So now we're going to talk about prioritization. What a lot of clerics don't understand is that you're really a dispel bot, you're not a heal bot. All classes have the ability to heal themselves and avoid damage. What all classes don't have is the ability to dispel themselves. This is especially true in PvP, where cleansing a blind or a silence, even if that means letting someone die, could be the difference between you winning or losing that engagement. Or if you're chasing someone in open world, quickly dispelling roots and slows so they don't get away could be the difference between you getting that AP and not getting it. So just keep that in mind. You should be prioritizing dispelling unless your group tells you otherwise. I have literally never met a player that has asked me to prioritize healing over dispelling, but anyway. So now you have great keybinds, you understand the importance of fast dispelling, so let's talk about Radiant Cure. So this one skill is what separates good clerics from great clerics. good clerics are reactionary. They see people taking damage, they heal them. They see people debuffed, they dispel them. But great clerics are predictive. They have good game sense, they're watching their environment closely to anticipate who is taking damage next, and they're pre-casting Radiant Cure in advance. So Radiant is also the highest HPS skill we have. So there's a huge difference in total HPS output for predictive clerics who use Radiant Cure often versus more reactionary clerics who rely on Light of Recovery and Healing Light more heavily. PvE is the easiest example of this. You know, a boss skill is incoming, you see who's getting targeted, how much longer is left on the cast bar, you start casting Radiant Cure before the skill goes off, you know, easy, simple. PvP, it's a lot more tricky. You know, sometimes in Dredge, I'm tabbing around the enemies to see who they're targeting, and they start pre-casting heals on that person. You can also rely on your experience and game sense too. Think about who you would target if you're in their shoes, so on and so forth. Some other skills that separate good clerics from great clerics are Hollowed Strike, Root, Blind. The clerics who maximize these skills are really difficult to kill, but let's move on. Okay, so I'm now assuming you have good keybinds, you're a good dispeller, you pre-cast shit, so now let's talk about gear. Please stop using Drop Near Cave MR gear. It's not good. It doesn't have PvP defense. So MR really is a crutch for bad clerics. Once you're a fast dispeller and you can use healing pots quickly, debuffs don't really scare you. You know, it's certainly still a useful spec, and the most optimal one for fighting casters, things like that. But it's a lot more situational than you think. You know, maybe if you're higher paying, it makes more sense. But anyway, what I suggest newer clerics do is go for 30 Elite block. 30 Elite is easy to get, easy to enchant. Block is very powerful. Also, don't be afraid of using cloth gear. I actually have a 30 Elite cloth block set. And if you think that's crazy, it's really not. You get more HP when you enchant cloth gear, and physical defense is literally a useless stat. 10 physical defense is -1 static damage. It's literally nothing. So don't be afraid of cloth gear. This applies to 40 Elite too when you are building out an MR set. 40 Elite cloth is better than chain at +15 in my opinion. The chain is great as well, but again, don't feel the need to go chain. The other thing I want to mention, and this applies to both PvE and PvP, is concentration. The concentration stat on accessories is extremely important. If you're not aware, concentration dictates the amount of damage you can take before your skill bar breaks. And this is absolutely essential for pre-casting things. So luckily, the Dark Poeta accessories, which we now have great concentration on them, so grind those out. But yeah, keep concentration in mind, and it might be worth sacrificing other stats to gain more concentration. The last thing I want to mention, you don't need a PvE set or an HP set for S rank. It's really not necessary. I use my 30 Elite block set for S rank, and I've killed Taha fucking 100 times in Korea. That's with 200 ping, so you'll be fine. It's not your gear, it's your skill that's holding you back. And that's pretty much gonna wrap up this video for now. I might make sequels, but if you have watched this to the end and you have implemented everything I said, you're going to be in the top 1% of clerics, so it's worth your time. Alright, toodles.